Hello friends and family from around the world, this is Mike with Morning Dew Daily Events Worldwide, and we are on September 17th, 2021. Welcome to another surviving day on the planet, and welcome to the Daily Dew, where we look at space weather, world weather, earthquakes, volcanoes, anything else affecting humanity. And today we have some action coming from the sun, even though it doesn't look like much right now. Looking at the last 48 hours on the sun, you can see the bottom left side there. Watch for a CME and as well a solar flare. An accelerated stream of plasma is on its way away from the sun. Right there. Looking at the last 48 hours incoming imagery, things are definitely picking up on the incoming disk. And as well, that fiery region leaving right now in the outgoing position. Pretty quiet across the outgoing position of the sun. Having a quick closer look at the solar flare right here. A lot of plasma associated with this flare. Whap. Now that was not in an Earth-directed position, but definitely something to talk about as it was accelerated through time and space today. Looking at the last 48 hours imagery here, multi-spectrum coronal hold building in the north, getting ready for an Earth-facing position as well. Large plasma filament behind that, right there. And we are expecting the space weather from the last event, and that is tomorrow and into the 19th. But we're already seeing some effects now, and it is showing on the real-time solar data. Looking at 193 angstroms here, coronal holes are building in an Earth-facing position. Looks to be about 6 spots there. Watch for things to drastically change over the next little while. Showing here the LASCO 2 over the last 7 days for the sun. On the 12th, we did have that big event. And then on the 14th, another event. 15th, small 16th event there. And then, boom. That is our most recent event. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Daily Dew today. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you do, please hit that like button. Looking at ISWA, Space Prediction Spiral, you can see that event was directed right at Mercury. And you can see that our planet is now experiencing the space weather projected from the last event on the 15th. Looking at our pressure right now, our magnetosphere seems to be holding on not too bad. Yesterday, we had a lot of pressure on. Looking at the real-time solar wind, and you can see there's nothing to report here for some reason. All missing from the graph. Solar X-ray flux is down now after reaching up to C-class flare. And you can see we're experiencing a G1 geomagnetic storm right now. And that was to be expected. Looking at the Schumann resonance for today, healthy power of 61, and that is to be expected too with this incoming space weather. Quality of 9, power of 61 amplitude. Let's have a look at earthquakes across the planet the last 24 hours. And it has been somewhat busy. We're sitting at just over 325 earthquakes across the USGS map the last 24 hours. We're going to start out here in Texas with the 3.4, as well as 3.7 there in Delta, BC max border, 3.0 to report, as well as 2.7 here in East LA, Beaumont, California, 2.9 Mena, Nevada, Smith Valley, small swarm there today, looking at about 50 to 100 earthquakes as well through Hamilton City, California. Looking at Hawaii, they just recently had a 3.1 there, Pahala, 34 kilometer depth. Increased activity through Alaska as forecasted. 3.4 being the largest in the region today. As well, Kuril Islands, 5.0 there. 4.4, Ishinomaki, Japan, 57 kilometer depth. As well, at 4.5 there to report just south. 4.7 here, Sarangani, Philippines. And then Vanuatu, the largest earthquake today, 5.8, Soloa, Vanuatu. As well, a 4.8 just after that, 10 kilometer depth. 5.3 here, Solomon Islands, 10 kilometer depth. And then very deep earthquake today. Not that one, but this one here, Fiji Islands, 4.3, 577 kilometer depth. 4.9 there, Kermadec Islands. As well, a small earthquake to report here, New Zealand, South Island of New Zealand, 3.1. Watch for possible white volcano update, possible alert rise. Looking at South America, 4.3 and a 4.4 there, Iquique, Chile, as well as South Sandwich Islands, seeing a couple 4.8, 4.6, 36 kilometer depth, South Sandwich Islands. Across Africa, quiet. One earthquake to report here through Europe, 4.2 in Turkey. As well, a 4.7 here in Kolu, Pakistan. 4.9 Murghab, Tajikistan, 112 kilometer depth. And that's the last 24 hours for earthquakes across the planet. Expecting something larger and shallower, especially after that 577 kilometer depth. And I'm thinking Japan. So heads up, west ring of fire, as well through central regions, South and North America. Let's have a quick look at the last 7 days for earthquakes, pointing out all of the deep ones recently here in Fiji, and as well through Afghanistan into Pakistan. Quiet through Japan, heads up into Russia. No other major events to talk about for earthquakes. Largest being today the 5.8, Vanuatu, deepest 577 kilometer depth, Fiji. Let's have a quick look at the Pacific Disaster Center showing the most recent volcanoes getting updated. As we do have 2 tropical storms to talk about as well. We'll be giving a small forecast just after this. But satellite imagery showing 2 very large systems, one in the Pacific and one over North America. Let's have a look at volcanoes. Popo in Mexico, Sabancaya in Peru, Swiss and Najima, Japan, Karamiski, Russia, Fuego, Guatemala, Reventador in Ecuador, Nevadas de Ruiz, Colombia, Sangay in Ecuador, and Askja in Iceland. And that is a new volcano that has now awakened, North Iceland, Tukono in Indonesia, Sheveluch in Russia, Semeru, Indonesia. And that's about 13 volcanoes getting updated today. Please stay tuned tomorrow for the volcano and planetary report coming up. We do have Tropical Storm Odette, who was just named today and is not scheduled to make any major landfall, but it is just going to graze parts of Newfoundland. Noting here the 2 very large systems and quite a bit of a rain train heading into parts of Vancouver and as well as southern BC, North Washington. A lot of rain is moving in. Hopefully put out the rest of those fires through North Washington. But definitely things are picking up across the northern hemisphere. The cooling trend has already begun. Tomorrow it'll be a very cool start in Western Canada and an unseasonable start in parts of Eastern Canada. Tropical Storm Changthu is still alive, heading towards Japan now and then out into the middle of the Pacific. Noting out here, very large storm over parts of Eastern Europe and the border with Russia. Croatia storms were being warned this morning. Let's have a quick look at the 5-day forecast brought to you by MeteorEarth and, of course, daily events worldwide. We're going to start out here in Ontario, home base, Brantford, Ontario, as we've got seasonable temps that will continue after a slight cool down. We're looking at about 13 for a high over the next couple days. But the big story is all of this moisture heading into parts of BC and Alaska, and then a big Colorado low developing here and heading into parts of northern Ontario and Manitoba. Most likely going to bring some extreme weather. So this is a very large system that has created across North America, and you can see atmospheric rivers stretching from Greenland to the Gulf Coast. Crazy stuff indeed. Things are really changing rapidly. And it's not just over the last few years. I'm talking over the last few weeks. Things are changing. Looking at that big low spinning around the North Pole. Looking at the Atlantic, as Odette most likely will survive for quite some time, even after just grazing Newfoundland. We still got at least 6 weeks left in the Atlantic hurricane season. Overlooking Europe, watch these low-pressure systems to come spinning through. Widespread weather and extreme weather through parts of Central Europe and eastward. And then big systems there affecting parts of Iceland in the long range. Going to leave you here looking at the northern hemisphere versus the southern, pointing out this major system spinning around the North Pole right now, most likely going to usher in an early winter. A long, cold winter is ahead of us. Have a look at the Farmer's Almanac for 2021. Thanks for watching today. This has been Mike with Morning Dew, daily events worldwide. Stay aware and prepared. Stay young and have fun. And get your morning dew. Bye-bye now. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends and family from across the world.